See, and we are live.
All right.
Well, we got that worked out, which is good.
Yeah. Well, I am Polish, so I've had difficulty all my life. Uh,
Yeah.
but
No, it's just sometimes it always seems no matter how many times you do this,
yep.
when you start getting cocky and you go, oh, I got this is when all the glitches and everything happens and you're trying to scramble around trying to figure out what the hell happened. Let's see. Let me go ahead and get some of the hellos out of the way. Um, I know Sam was. I think Sam was the very first one in here. Sam, thank you so much, and he's already posted your links down there. Fernando, thank you for joining us this morning. Amisa just checked in right now. Robert Reed, thank you for being here today. And I guess we're a go, man. How you been, Keith? Can you hear me? I think you're gonna have to turn up your computer. I can't hear anything. Nope, he's gone again. Well, we'll figure it out soon enough. Yeah, I know. Hey, thanks, Sal, for dropping in. Um, don't overflow those tanks. Don't get too caught up in the chat. I mean, in the stream that you're not paying attention to those aquariums. Hey, Shady Grady, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us this morning. All right, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was. It just lost. It lost.
Audio.
It lost the visual. So.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Because we could see you, but we just couldn't hear you.
Okay. Well, you got me back. So.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah. So everything's good except for my knowledge about technology. So.
But I know you do lives, but you normally don't have a guest on, or you're not normally a guest on anybody else's live either.
Yeah, no. I mean, I the other night, when I popped into yours, I just did it straight from the laptop.
Yeah.
And that was easy, except the camera that comes on a lot of laptops, they're not very good. So, or at least
I just upgraded mine with a computer cam that was a little bit better than what the original one comes with.
Yeah, Jake and I, we were trying to hook my GoPro because he uses his GoPro from his desktop when he streams. He does gamer streams on Twitch and stuff, but that works fine. And we got it hooked, but for whatever reason, we couldn't. Every time we tried to hook the GoPro to the laptop to use as a webcam, it wouldn't recognize it. So I don't know. I'm not tech savvy. So
now, when he's using it, is he using it on that same laptop or is he using it on some other device?
Oh, he uses my GoPro on his computer. He has a desktop that doesn't even. I think there's a conflict in my laptop since it already has like a built-in. It has the.
You just have to select it. You have to go into. Yeah, you have to go manually.
We tried that.
Oh, you did, and it still wouldn't.
Yeah, it wouldn't read it. So I don't know. We got to play with it more.
Yeah, or maybe you need to download some software or something.
Yeah, we tried it with OBS. We tried it with the YouTube Studio, and I tried it with StreamYard, and we couldn't figure it out. So it's just two dummies. So I said, forget it. I said, I'm just going to use my phone. And then I was down in the basement, but I couldn't on my phone as a guest. Like you said, like the audio, I couldn't hear anything. I mean, I could, but it was like,
Like I've done that on my phone. That's why you'll see me. You'll tell when I'm on the phone because I'll get my head up real close to the because I'm trying to listen to the what they're asking. Unless I wear headphones. If I wear headphones, then it alleviates that problem.
I hear you.
But sometimes even I know the wireless for some reason sometimes doesn't connect to the studio. And again,
I borrowed Jake's Bluetooth, headphones. It didn't work. That's why I walked back up here. So
yeah.
Anyhow, man, I took my time and I had like a little seat and all that. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna sit down here and chill. So I'd be out of everybody's way. But oh well.
So where are you at right now?
I'm just in. This is like my work area,
Oh,
which it's all messy. So I keep my computer desk here, and I have over there. I have like different stock, and yeah, it's I don't know. Like I said, it's KJE Aquatics, so it's me and my two boys. That's where the initials come from. So Keith,
yeah.
Jake, and Elijah. But they help me when we go on the road to conventions and swaps and stuff. But like for daily activity, it's just me, myself, and I. So yeah. So when you guys put an order in, through the website through KJE Aquatics, I'm the one that processed the order. I'm the one that pulls the order, and I'm the one that ships the order and takes it to UPS or the post office. So yeah.
Now, on your orders that come in, do you try to send them out all at the same time, or you just ship out as soon as you get the orders? How do you do that? Because I know some people try to manage to time it right with deliveries and stuff like that.
We try to be very prompt on getting this stuff out. So if I have orders come in like this afternoon, if I have time, or orders come in the morning, if I have time to box them and pack them that same day, I try to do it. That I really try to get it out the same day if I have time. If not, it's the next business day. But like the other morning when I did a unboxing, I think Skipper asked me, how, if you place the order, how soon would it be shipped? With live goods, it's totally different. So if you order a jar of fish food and a plant from me on a Wednesday and you're in Arizona, I'm not going to ship it until Saturday or Monday.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it depends if you're in region. If you're in region with, so I'm in upstate New York, so my region pretty much covers like Pennsylvania and then probably down into Maryland, Delaware area. So all of Jersey and then all of New England. So all of New England, New York, Pennsylvania, and then probably down to Maryland, I would say is my region. That's typically 1 to 2 days, for sure.
Okay.
A lot of times, like UPS, like if I ship uh, into New England, so I gotta, to Vermont or Connecticut or whatever, that's a 1 day delivery point. So I can compete with Amazon easily so I try to get it out. And a lot of times people are surprised. They were like, wow, that came quick. And I was like, well, it's within region. So
So, what time do you consider your cutoff time for the local region stuff to be able to get it out that same day?
uh depends on what I got going on, but I would say probably 2 o'clock, 2 p.m.
Okay.
probably.
So, as a consumer, if you can get your order in as early as possible in that day, you can more than likely
Oh
get it shipped
yeah,
out.
yeah, and especially if it's just like a
Mhm.
jar of fish food. Yeah, that can go like pretty much the same day, as long as I can get it to the post office or UPS. And the cool thing about UPS, I use both, and they're very competitive um, with each other, as long as you're using a third party shipping company.
Okay.
Don't ever ship like don't well, if you ship like 1 or 2 boxes a year, it don't matter. But if you ship a lot of stuff, don't pay retail prices because you're just wasting money. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, but on the post office side, obviously you got to go to the post office to drop it off, or you can send it out with your carrier when they pick up the mail, depending on what time. They'll take it. Or with UPS, there's you don't necessarily have to go to the UPS service center or UPS store. CVS pharmacies, I think they're nationwide, but CVS pharmacies are a drop point for UPS packages. So if you
Okay.
do a prepaid label, bring it into CVS drugstore, they scan it. They can give you a receipt if you want one. They text you the receipt and you drop it off with the clerk at the front counter of a CVS, and you're good to go because the truck will come by that afternoon and pick them up.
Even if it's live fish and stuff
Yep,
like that. Oh,
yep.
interesting.
I ship live fish, UPS and uh, priority mail or express mail. Yeah, both ways. I don't really use FedEx too much. FedEx, you can do like third party shipping with FedEx. I find the rates for UPS and the post office cheaper than FedEx, but I know some people use FedEx. I know through I'm not a huge fan of it, but that's another story. That Vivi, I think they have some negotiated rates, and it's through Federal Express.
Okay.
And then there's a company called like Ship My Reptiles, which is a third party, but they use FedEx, which it doesn't have to be a reptile. It's just I think that's how they founded the company.
So what's the benefit of using the third parties? Because they do so much volume, you get their
Yeah,
discounts. Is that what it is?
price. Yeah, price. And I'll there's a few of them. There's Pirate Ship.
Okay.
There's another one called Ship Station. And the one I use, well now we transferred over the website just recently. Matt helped me. I love Matt, but if you're here, I love you, Matt. But anyways, you could do it through Shopify, but then we also have Shippo. So if you guys want to scribble something down, shippo.com. Anybody could use it. You gotta establish an account. They're gonna put a credit card on file. So when you create a label and ship a label, it's just gonna bill your credit card.
Oh, okay.
Or if you have a PayPal account, you can link your PayPal account to Shippo, and I think you can with Pirate Ship and Ship Station as well. Yeah.
Now, do these third parties charge you a fee for using them, or? Oh,
Nope.
okay.
They have like different levels. So like StreamYard, you got the free version, but then you have like paid versions that have more benefits. But I find just the size of my company, it's small. For Shippo, the free level of Shippo is all I really need. Because I don't have multiple locations. I don't have, you know, my staff is me. So just like basically one staff member. I don't have, multiple staff members having to log in to ship stuff. And like I said, we don't have multiple warehouses or stores or whatever. So
Now,
yeah.
do you have to be like a registered business to be able to use them? The reason I'm asking is because I've always hesitated in mailing stuff, because if you try to go through the mail service as an individual, it starts getting pretty expensive real
It
quick.
does, especially if you use UPS. So if like I'm just gonna throw up an example, and these numbers aren't like true, but like UPS overnight, I charge a flat fee on ship. Like if I list stuff on Aquabid. So if you guys aren't familiar with Aquabid, check it out. It's been around forever. But so I'll list stuff on Aquabid, and then in the description of whatever I'm listing, I'll ship it priority mail, which is $20 flat fee, or express or overnight $50 flat fee. UPS within region overnight usually runs about $40, I'm guessing. But if I ship fish to you in Arizona or in California or Washington State, that box, that same box that maybe cost me 40 might cost me 60 or 70. Probably closer to 60, because I don't pack it like real heavy. So depending on, I don't know who's gonna buy stuff when I do that. So I might make $10 on this box because it only costs 40 and I charge 50, or I might lose $10 because I charge 50. So you kind of try to balance it out, I guess, if that makes sense.
Now, when you're doing that, it doesn't matter how many items are in there, or is it like, I think the mail will weigh the box if it's not the express. Do you have the same issue with when you're shipping out?
Well, the weight limit on the box is really high, so I never get close to that.
Okay.
Like the post office, I think, like on a priority mailbox, I think their weight limit's like 70 pounds.
Okay.
Man, if you could fit 70 pounds
and the little boxes
in a large flat rate USPS box, that's pretty impressive. I've shipped rocks before, because I don't do it no more because it's not profitable. But I used to bring in, Dragonstone and some other petrified wood and stuff like that. So some of those boxes used to get heavy, but I was never near 70 pounds. So, but yeah. And then UPS will take, UPS, and God bless their backs, but UPS takes, I think, up to 150 pounds. Yeah. So UPS, like years ago, I've been shipping stuff, not just for the fish hobby, but I've been in like the logistics of shipping product probably since 1992. So like the other jobs and stuff I worked at, that was more like after I got out of the Navy, I hired on with the industrial pump company, but they just needed somebody in the warehouse and shipping and receiving.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was like my first experience doing that. And then so yeah, so it's kind of helped out. So I know how to pinch a penny when it comes to shipping, whether it be post office, UPS, even FedEx, freight, air cargo, all of that stuff. So
yeah, because I know that has been like the biggest hesitation for me to ever want to not having this information to be able to ship stuff is because you started looking at prices and you go, wow, the damn shipping is going to be a lot more than any fish that I could ever send you, so that kind of would put a damper in trying to ship stuff.
yeah,
But I guess using some of these third parties, it kind of makes more sense.
yeah. I mean, if I recommend shippo.com just because I use it, I'm familiar with it, and I know that they give you great rates. And I know like Shippo and not Shopify, but Shippo and ShipStation. ShipStation's huge. They're actually integrated into PayPal now too. They partnered up with PayPal. So that's another thing. I get off topic, but like if you guys have a PayPal account, you can, I know with a business account, I don't know about personal account, but you could ship right from your PayPal business account through there, and they partnered up with Shopify, and then they just deduct out of your PayPal balance to pay for it. But the rates are the same. So if a box costs $5 to ship on ShipStation, and I look at the rates for Shippo, it's the same. It's the same. So there's no benefit in savings, I guess. It's just maybe just the ease of use.
Oh, okay.
So same way with Pirate Ship. Pirate Ship, the rates are pretty much the same. So, but yeah, you will save a lot of money. Like if you ship enough, you'll save. Even like the flat rate, I just like a priority flat rate large box. Retail, if you go to the counter at your post office, retail for that I think is like $24-$25 now, something like that. Now, if I take that same box, the flat rate, and I do it through Shippo, I think I pay like 21. So it's yeah, it's not like a huge savings.
No, but it adds up.
Yeah, it definitely adds up. And then why waste a few bucks? Why? You can go buy coffee with it, or you can, when you see me at a show, you could buy me a beer or something like that. So you could, save up all that savings so you could buy me a beer when you come see me.
Now, the other thing that I know is that you almost every weekend you're at some type of fish club meeting, and you're usually setting up shop at most of these meetings, correct?
If they allow me to, yeah.
Now, if somebody knows that you're coming to them locally and they want to avoid the shipping, can they communicate with you and say, "Hey, I know you're coming down this weekend. Can I pick it up at the event?"
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah. Just give me like a heads up. You could find me, through email, through the website, through Facebook, through Instagram. And then like if you ever want to find, and this goes for all creators, I'm going to give a plug for fishfam.link right there. So if you're not sure about finding my Instagram page, you can go to fishfam.link, just type in, KJE Aquatics, and it's going to list everything, where to find me all over the internet. So yeah, same way with your channel. We type in Mexicali Fish Keeper, and whatever platforms you use, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. I don't TikTok, but if you have a merch store, so if you have Teespring or Zazzle or one of those,
Yeah.
they'll link that on there too. So it's kind of cool. So yeah, that's my plug, my paid promo for fishfam.link.
Now, on these shipping services, do
Yep.
they do just stateside, or can you also do international?
I believe Shippo, you can do international. I've shipped a package to Canada. That's as far as I got with international. But yeah, so I've shipped stuff. Actually UPS up to Canada. Once it's a pain in the butt. You gotta have like um you gotta do like customs paperwork and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
They'll ask for that. So you gotta upload some different stuff. So it's a different process. Yeah.
Even for merchandise and stuff like that. The reason I ask is because I know like it's real popular to do giveaways, but usually anybody outside of the United States gets left out of those giveaways because of the shipping is so
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, you can though. That to answer your question is like yes. Yes, you definitely can.
Okay.
If you guys want to pay retail prices, you could all, and you don't want to wait in line at the post office. There's always the USPS, .com, and then you go to their thing called Click and Ship. And if you that's a good tool. That's a good tool to use if you want to get a general idea about how much a box is going to cost. I mean, they're going
Okay.
to quote you their retail price, but you'll have an idea. Like if you want to, box up something and weigh it. So you're going to need the dimensions of the box, and then you're going to need the weight, and you can plug all that in, and it can give you, what that box would cost. It's going to ask you the from zip code to zip code, so you can plug that in.
Oh, okay.
And for international, I think then you get like a country code or something like that. But yeah, you definitely can, because I've used that tool before. People in Australia asked me how much would it cost to ship, something to Australia. I looked it up. I was like, it's not worth it, bro. So yeah.
Yeah.
But say you wanted to send, stickers or something like that. That's light. Yeah, you could do that. But
Yeah, that I found that to be. I was because I had to ship some of the stickers, and that's not too bad. It's only like $1.50 or something like
yeah,
that for the postage. So
yeah,
that's not a problem. But I was thinking more like if I ever wanted to ship like a T-shirt or something like that.
yeah.
I was always curious to see because everybody says that it's so expensive
It
to
gets
ship.
expensive. Yeah, it gets
So, but I've
expensive.
never done it, so I had no idea. But
Yeah,
figured somebody
but like,
that's
yeah, if you're
constantly
just going
shipping.
to like Canada or Mexico, it's not too bad for something small. But like I said, I shipped a bunch of pleco caves up to Canada, and the guy was willing to pay for it. Normally what I would have charged $10 to ship, I think it costs like 45 or $48 to ship to him. But
Okay.
he said I want them, so I was like, all right, this is what it costs, so pay it, I'll ship it. But then it was for that. Doing the paperwork was a pain in the butt, but I did it.
Oh,
I get people to ask me all the time if I ship to Canada. It's really not worth it. And then there's certain things I can't ship. I can't ship medications,
yeah.
and I can't ship fish food. So
No fish food,
yeah,
huh?
and certain chemicals too. Certain chemicals are kind of like borderline too. So yeah, no medications,
But
and
can you ship plants?
to Canada,
Yeah.
not not easily, not easily.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
there's
well,
a lot of
then
paperwork
it's
you got
just
to do. So for live
there's not a
goods,
there's not a whole lot of stuff then you can probably send up there then as a business.
sponge filter. Yeah, yeah. That's why I get people to ask me, and believe it or not, there's a lot of people that live in Canada, like say like Montreal or even like Toronto and some of the towns not far from the border. They maintain a PO box in the United States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know several people, and I've shipped to PO box. Like I have one customer that lives close to the Vermont state line up in Canada, and they got a PO box in Vermont. So I just ship to their PO box, and they get notification. They drive, make a day of it or whatever, drive across, get whatever, they bring it back because it's easier to bring stuff. I think, like in your
Walk
car
it in.
across the border than it
Well,
is.
it's no different than I did for years when I was living in Mexicali. First Street and Second Street in Calexico are mostly post box businesses. You rent a little post box for an address, and you get all your mail and everything because you're living in Mexico. So you can get all your mail, you get anything you order, and you just go pick it up and you take it with you.
Yeah.
And since you're crossing every day, you're kind of going by there, so you can swing by, pick up your mail, and then go home. So yeah, I'm familiar with that concept. And yeah, it's just
they do it up in Canada too. So
yeah, especially if you're right on the border. I mean, if you're right on the border and you're regularly crossing, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, some like, is it legal? That's their issue to me. I ship it to the PO box. I don't care what they do with the stuff. Same way with like some of the shows I go to, like the ACA was in Madison, Wisconsin. So we're up there in the north. There were several people from Canada that came down for the show. And then the OCA, the Ohio Cichlid Association Extravaganza, there's a big contingent of hobbyists that come down from Canada every year for that.
Yeah.
And they're looking for medications, like different, antibiotics and stuff, because you can't buy them over the counter in Canada no more. So they come down here, they buy them, and then they just put them in their luggage and whatever and bring it back. So I guess they run a little black market trade for erythromycin or something. I don't know. I don't know. But
they don't even sell it for their like cats and dogs up there, or you
gotta get a script from the veterinarian. So even like you got a $2 goldfish and they have, I don't know, whatever illness, you and I can go buy some API General Cure. I shouldn't have plugged API because I don't sell it, or Fritz Marison, or something like that. You and I can go to the local fish store or go to KJEAquatics.com because I got a whole bunch of medicine, so I plug myself. But yeah, and then just get what you need. But up in Canada, you can't. Yeah, you gotta call the vet first, or you're gonna take a $2 goldfish to the vet and pay that vet bill. I don't know if most people would, but
yeah. But on the medication though, I thought I've heard that they're trying to do the same thing here stateside, where they don't want us having access to it as readily as we do now.
Yeah, well, I can see why. I could see that side of it. Like, if you get an eye infection, because they use erythrom, I'm just using it for example, but like if you ever get like an eye infection, you go to the doctor, they give you a erythromycin, like a salve or whatever. You commonly use that for eye infections in humans. But you got to go to the doctor and get a script for erythromycin. The funny thing is, you can go to your local fish store or your online, supplier, and you could buy Fritz Marison is erythromycin. So you can go buy a box of, Fritz Marison and not have to have a script. So,
yeah, but are people really abusing that? I don't see lines of people going to get pet medication.
The law in Canada passed probably going maybe on 10 years ago now. So you used to be able to get medications, over the counter for your fish in Canada, like prior to that. But then they changed that like 10 years ago. And then this was before I was using like Facebook and stuff. I used to go into fish forums and they were all talking about it. But they were saying like the Canadian government was, some of the points that they used were they were worried about people self-medicating themselves. And then they were also worried about people, and then I could see this part, overusing medication. And then it gets in the waterways, because a lot of that stuff isn't, it goes, down the toilet or in your drain, goes to the water treatment facility. A lot of that stuff, I don't know all the science behind it, but some of the stuff might not, get filtered out, and then it gets pumped back into the ocean or a river or whatever, and then the circle of life, and it comes back and we drink it. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
So why in the world did you decide to start a business? What was it that at what point did you say, all right, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, well, try to sum up how I started KJE. I've
Well,
been
we
in
got
that
time.
hobby for like, I don't know, 40 years.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I'm 54 now, so actually longer than 40 years. In and out, a lot of us have. We had a fish tank when we were a kid or whatever, and then they died and you got rid of it. But so I did that off and on. But what got me back in hardcore was like 2016. Elijah, my youngest, he came home. They had some animals at the school. They had a frog, they had a fish, and they had like a fiddler crab. So at the end of the school year, if the kids have permission, the teacher was like, take it home. So Elijah came, asked me if he could have the fiddler crab, but he needed permission first. So I said, sure. So I went and got a little tank for him, got some sand, a little sponge filter, set him a tank up. He brought it home from school. And then that just like flipped the switch again. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, I had fish tanks prior, but had gotten out of the hobby for years and years. So I was like, I went and bought me like a all-in-one kit at the local fish store, 16-gallon, acrylic tank, all-in-one, fancy tank. But that wasn't enough. And then it led to another tank, And I had like 8 or 9 tanks, situated around the house. And then I always loved plants, even years prior. So I'd grow plants and I would trade them on the fish forums. So you go, and there's still a few fish forums around. I really don't check them out anymore. There's one like plantedtank.net. There was another one that I was like real active in called it was called PRA, Papa Rhino Aquatics, but it was a fish forum. So I used to post stuff on there and trade it or sell it. You know, I'd get like a bunch of hornwort because hornwort grows crazy. There's always other people that want it. So we would trade it and then started selling a little bit. And then you can't keep up with the demand. I know there's a few in the fish fam that sells their plants or, as they grow them. But then I couldn't keep up with the demand. So, and then I've always tried to turn something into, I don't know, it's just my mentality. I always try to make a buck off of something. So I just started like knocking on doors and stuff. And I found a couple people that would give me a wholesale account as long as I established my tax ID. And actually they told me that I was like, get your tax ID, become legitimate, business and we'll deal with you. They says, if you can meet this minimum, I had one nursery and they really work with me and I love those guys and I still support them a lot. They said, can you do a $50 order plus shipping? I was like, yeah. But when I first started, I would struggle. I'd be like, all right, the kids ain't getting no Fruit Loops this week. I'm going to buy some plant stock.
So is that what the business originally started, was mostly focused on plants?
Yeah. Yep. And then like a lot of us too, we're going to be fish breeders because you would see, you'd be like, oh, that German blue ram sells for $25 at the store or $20. And I was like, let me see if I could breed those and then I can count my dollars. And then when you're able to breed some fish and then you take them to your local fish store, some of them won't even talk to you. They won't even talk to you. But then they'll be like, oh, that fish we're selling for $20, I'll give you $1 for it. And then so your dreams get squashed real quick when you think you're gonna make money on certain fish. Now you can based on the rarity of the fish. But yeah, if you want to do, if you want to do mollies or just some domestic swordtail or something, yeah, you're not gonna make it. So
Yeah.
you're not gonna make money. I mean, the hobby's great, but if you're ever looking to make money as a fish breeder on a small scale, never. But plants, you could do okay with plants. You really can. You can selling on social media like Facebook and stuff and the different plant groups. You can make a few bucks. You're not gonna become rich, no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but yeah, and I know, and from personal experience, yeah, plants seems, I have no problem moving plants, and and I don't even keep anything real special. I just have jungle val, some hornwort, some guppy grass. I'm surprised how well guppy grass sells. That blew my mind.
Oh yeah, if well, you go to fish club or you go to fish club auctions, yeah, I've seen like a bag of guppy grass that I would probably retail, because I retail like probably like a handful for like $5, which I'm growing the guppy grass myself. Usually, I got some in from the nursery the other day, but if they watched it live, that stuff was garbage. I threw it out in the compost pile. But anyway, so the guppy grass that I usually sell is mine. So I sell like a handful for like $5 retail. You could probably get it from your your local buddy down the street if he's into fish tanks for free. But but yeah. So what I would sell probably for like maybe $10 retail, I've seen a bag at a local club auction sell for like 25. Yeah. Some of it's ridiculous. And I'll let the cat out of the bag here with club auctions. I buy plants wholesale and then I retail them. Our retail prices, I'm confident are probably better than any other business on the internet. And if not, then we're really competitive. But I'll take plants I buy wholesale, and I'll take them to one of my club auctions, and they'll go for way more than I retail them on at kjeaquatics.com, which makes me laugh. Like, just for instance, like a crypt went I red that I would retail on the website for maybe $5.99. I've seen them go for $10, $12, $15 at a club auction, which I'm totally fine with because I get my cut because you always split with the club, either 60-40, 70-30, something like that.
Yeah.
So if it's 60-40, I get 60%, so I'll get, if it's sold for $10, I get $6 and the club gets $4. And that $6 is what I would have retailed it for on my website. So,
Well, and I think the biggest upside is you're not paying for shipping. So,
yep.
That,
Yeah. No, I buy stuff, at club auctions sometimes. Java moss, I'll go and look at it first, make sure it's not full of algae and junk. But I'll see a bag of Java moss at a club auction, and if I can get it for a retail price, because I always got it up here, I'm just gonna flip it and resell it. Because when I buy Java moss or other mosses from the nursery, they never look good. They grow them in like these big massive piles, and when then they harvest it or pull orders from it, they might be grabbing stuff out of the middle of that ball of moss. And so a lot of times when I used to buy mosses like wholesale, it always comes brown and nasty looking. And then they say, oh, put it in your tank, it's going to grow. Yeah, it's going to grow, but I ain't got time to let it, buy it and then sit on it for 6 months and then sell it. I got to make a buck. I got bills to pay. So that's why
I have a hate love relationship with moss because it'll do fine this time of the year and it gets beautiful. But then as soon as the weather starts warming up, it dies. It just turns brown and dies.
Oh man.
So, and then it gets, I guess, I don't know what happened. I guess they really don't like the warmer temperature because then they start getting full of hair algae.
Yeah.
And then it just takes over.
I get that sometimes, like in the guppy grass, when I'm growing the guppy grass. Yeah. I get hair algae, and then I've killed the lights for several days. And like the tank I grow hair algae in, or not, yeah, I grow hair algae, but the tank I grow guppy grass in, I don't have any fish in it, so it's just guppy grass in there. I'm not a big proponent of commercial algicides, but like hair algae is easily controlled with that, and I'll just hit the tank with it, a little bit, and I won't use too much. But I mean, I've had it on the website, I've sold it, but I don't. That's your last alternative usually, for a hobbyist. But I have used it for hair algae in the guppy grass tank. So
here's a question for you. Aquarium Delirium's asking: Is a hobby your full-time employment, or do you have a day job?
I used to have a day job, so I started this in 2016, and then built it up, and we went. we went full time in 2022. So kind of forced into it or whatever. I worked at my prior employer for like 20 years. I was an occupational safety and health manager. So I was the safety Nazi guy. Um, and it was steel fabrication company. Like I said, I worked there for 20 years. And then I didn't like what was going on. And sometimes I get my mouth would get me in trouble. So what you call it? There was like some new, the old man basically retired and gave the company to his kids. And then the kids weren't like old school, and so they didn't like how I said something. So then I said it again, and then they told me, well, since you ain't happy here, you could leave. I said, I ain't going to effing place. I said, you firing me? They said, well, you can leave. I said, I ain't quitting. I said, I ain't quitting. I said, you got to fire me. So yeah. So then they put a piece of paper in front of me. I said, I ain't signing shit. I was like, but it was like termination paper. I was like, okay. I was like, I ain't signing nothing. I said, I'm fired. So good. And then I went and drew unemployment just out of spite. And then told my wife, I was like, well, let me see if I can make KJE a full go at it. And she went back to work, because before that, we were just one income family up until.
So by this time, you've been doing this for about 6 years, because you started in 2016, or
yeah,
oh no, that's when you got back into the hobby.
That's when I got back into the hobby, and probably at the end of 2016, like December, I went and like really started like trying to, make more of a dollar with it. So in the earlier part in 2016, and then like I said, I always try to, I don't know, it's just my mentality. I turn a hobby into trying to make a buck. Another hobby I had before, well, I still do, but I haven't been in a long time. I'm a scuba instructor, so open water scuba instructor. I got certified through PADI, so Professional Association of Dive Instructors. I've been scuba diving since I was like 12 years old, and then again got out of it when I joined the military. And then when I got out of the military, I got back in it. A lot of people thought I dove for the Navy. No, I was just fun prior and then fun afterwards. And then I don't know, something clicked in me, because I remember I paid for my nephew. What got me into trying to make money with that? So you got to be 12 years old in order to get certified scuba diving. That's the age limit,
Okay.
unless it's changed now. Anyways, my nephew turned 12 years old, and then so for Christmas, I paid for his lessons and all that. And then I asked the instructor, hey, I've been doing this a long time. Can I just like observe while we're in the water, not in the classwork, but when we were in the pool, and then when we did his checkout dives. And that instructor, he's an older gentleman at the time, and he was like, man, you're really good in the water. He says, you ever think about teaching? And then that kind of like clicked a little bit. And then so then I got, I went up different levels, and then I got my certification, because I was like, all right, this is a hobby. Now I can make some money at it too. So
Now, for diving, is there different certifications based on how deep you're going in there, or is it just once you get certified, you can go and venture as far as you want?
There is now, like your for open water scuba, for your basic open water. I think they recommend, and it's recommended too. There's no scuba police down there, but like
Wow.
I think no more than like 150 feet, which is friggin' deep. It's like really deep. I think it's 130 feet, for that. But then, and then I didn't get into it. They call it technical diving, where they're doing like nitrox mixed gases and stuff like that, where you can, actually go down deeper and stay longer. I never got into that aspect. That was coming about kind of when I kind of got out of it. I got out of scuba diving when I moved up to New York. So I used to live down, prior to moving up to New York, I lived on the coast everywhere else. So I grew up in California, and then I lived down in South Alabama for a long time. But I lived right on the Gulf of Mexico, Well,
Okay.
not right on, but if you left my house in Alabama and you went south, 8 miles south was you could put your toes in the water and your thing in the sand.
Now, at what depth do you have to start watching out how quickly you come up? Because I've this is all for movies. I've never done
Yeah,
any of this, but I know that there's a certain point where you have to watch out for bubbles in your blood or something, and you have to decompress a certain.
It depends on how long you stay down. So
okay.
yeah. So then they're like old school. There was like a chart you would actually have to do math, and then I was never good at that. But
The diving or the math?
both, yeah. But then they came out with these dive computers, which were really cool. So and then they worked. They would feel the pressure, and then you could just like look at it right there. So that technology's been around for a while. When those came out, it made like just like a smartphone makes you stupid. Those dive computers made you stupid too, because you didn't have to like do the calculations. You could just like look at the computer. So, but yeah, prior to the dive computer, there was like a little chart and stuff, and you could say you're like X amount of feet. I could stay down without having to do decompression for 15 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that I learned that I didn't even really think about it, or it never really dawned on me, is I didn't realize that you actually have to put weight on your waist to be able to sink. Because
Oh
there's a
yeah.
certain point where you just have buoyancy and you can't get down deep. And that to me was surprising. I didn't know that was a thing, that you actually had to put on lead weights to be able to sink.
Especially with when you put on the wetsuit, if so you got the neoprene. They're made out of neoprene, and they're that's buoyant too. So you got to compensate for that. Yeah. So you would calculate the weight based on like your body weight, and then like maybe the type of suit you were wearing. You might be wearing a 2 millimeter wetsuit, or you might be diving in really cold water and you might have a 5 or a 7 millimeter wetsuit on. So that 5 millimeter suit is going to be more buoyant than the 2 millimeter suit. So yeah, so you'd have to compensate for that. But yeah, actually wearing lead on your belt. Yep.
Yeah. So are the tanks also buoyant, or those will sink if you drop a tank? That thing will go straight down, or
The steel tanks were heavier, and I don't even know if they use steel tanks anymore. I really don't know. I think they do, but then aluminum tanks come about and they were less. But no, it depend. If they were full, I think they floated more. If they were empty, they were more dense. So yeah.
now.
So a lot of that would change. That's why you have the vest on. That's your BC, your buoyancy compensator. So you could add air in it or let air out, and that would keep you. You want to try to keep your buoyancy neutral, because then you swim easier, and you're not. If you're too heavy, and say you're diving where there's like down in the Bahamas or whatever in the coral reef, you don't want to be bouncing around on the coral. One, you're damaging the corals, and then also you could be cutting up your equipment too. But more so, you don't want to be like kicking and bouncing on the coral, because you're killing marine life. So you want to stay neutral and kind of just observe and not touch. So.
Now, is it easy to lose your sense of direction, or is it because you have the light above you that you always know which way is up and which way is down when you're diving?
And your bubbles always go up.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you ever get like disoriented, I used to do night dives too. You can't see shit unless you got your light on. That get kind of eerie. But yeah.
Well, I just think going in the water is eerie in itself, especially when you got the big ass predators called sharks.
Oh yeah, out in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. And all you see is like where your beam of light is, and you flashed on some big stuff before you'd be like, oh shit. Yeah. But yeah, just you can watch where your bubbles are. So
see, I would freak out, because anytime I go on the beach and I have seaweed brush up against my feet, it makes me run out of the ocean. But I can't imagine being in the water and then, because you're so hyper focused on seeing what's in front of you that if something comes behind you and brushes up against you, it's gotta freak the hell out of you.
Oh yeah, it kind of gets eerie. Like we used to it was like shallow though, like real shallow, but we used to gig a lot of flounder at night, and you're just out there with your flashlight, your underwater light, and your we use a pole spear, not a spear gun, and we were gigging flounder, and then we'd put them on a stringer, and you'd have your stringer clipped to your belt. So yeah, there's a possibility that something wanted to come get those fish. So never had it happen, but yeah, that was always in the back of your mind.
Now, is it common or not as common to be able to see shark when you go scuba diving?
I've seen some, because I did, like, I don't know how many dives, a lot, but I have never seen a lot, diving. The only time I seen like a whole bunch at one time, we were down in the Bahamas and we baited them in on purpose. Uh,
Okay.
so we just took there's basically a weighted bucket full of fish chum, and we brought it down. We were probably in 60 or 80 feet of water, crystal clear. So, and then I was like on a dive cruise. There's down out of Miami. I don't know if they're still in business, but there was a small company called Blackbeard Cruises, and they had a 60-foot sailboat. So they would sail from Miami to the Bahamas, and what you call it, just sail around the different islands. There's a lot of islands that make up the Bahamas, so
Yeah.
we would just sail around the islands, and we'd do dives all different spots, and a lot of it was like I want to places that people don't go commonly. So a lot of it was like virgin water. So when we did that dive, I was on that cruise, and the dive master, the guy working for the company, he's the one that took the chum down, and they've done it before, but I was one of the last ones in the water, and as I was descending to the bottom, he was already on the bottom, and a few other people were already there, just around a group. The water was so clear that I could see like further, because I was up high, and I could see all these sharks just coming in. I was like, this is friggin' cool, man. I was nervous, but I was
Cool.
like hyped, and I was like, F yeah, this is cool. And I wasn't once I got down to the bottom, and then the dive master, he was feeding some, and they were Caribbean reef sharks, so there wasn't no, and there could have been, but there wasn't no like super aggressive sharks. There was a couple other species, but most of them were Caribbean reef sharks.
Okay.
They look aggressive, but they're not like super aggressive. They're not like a bull or a white or anything. But like I said, the possibility of them coming in was there. And then I did a dive another time where I got some pictures of a big bull shark. So like that joker was the biggest bull shark I ever seen. My pictures weren't like close up, if that makes sense, because I didn't want to get too close, but I did get pictures of it. Yeah, and I was nervous. We seen it, and I was with my buddy, and he told his girlfriend, he's like, "Hurry up, Angela, get out of the water," because we saw him, and then I stayed in the water, and my buddy, he was back on the boat, and he was like, "Get out of the water," and I was like, "Nah, this is cool, man. I'm gonna get some pictures." So yeah, it was pretty neat. And then nurse sharks were more common. I've seen plenty of nurse sharks. So, but
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So there's different levels of sharks to worry about. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know too much about that. If you're a diver, is there something that you go, okay, yeah, I don't have to worry so much about these sharks. But if you see something in there and go, no, time to go.
yeah, like bull sharks, tigers, hammerheads, whites. Yeah, those I would kind of like. I wouldn't turn my back on them while you're in the water. Um, but yeah, probably those four. But like some of your other ones, your black tips and your Caribbean reefs, your nurse sharks, they're they can potentially hurt you, but you know, if you walk across a cow pasture, that cow could hurt you too. So, you know.
Yeah. So are sharks just curious by nature, or they'll mostly try to stay away from you if they see you?
From my experience, pretty much with like all wildlife, they don't, they'll walk away before they walk towards you,
Okay.
swim away before they swim towards you for the most part, you know. Um, Same way, if you're out walking in the woods or you're walking in the desert, that rattlesnake's not going to chase you. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I remember being in Georgia and I could have sworn that damn cottonmouth was coming right at me.
Oh, I've seen water moccasins try to get in the boat before.
Yeah, yeah. That we were swimming out in one of the lakes out there, and I remember I thought it was a twig or a piece of wood at a distance because it just kind of gradually swaying in the water.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there. We're sitting on the bank, and we're looking. It just caught my attention. I kept looking. I said, "Oh, it's getting closer," and it almost seemed like it was coming with a purpose towards the edge, not just drifting. And I'm looking, and I guess it was a water moccasin, not a cottonmouth. And it's coming, and I was like, "That's not coming on the shore." And I see it coming, and I could have sworn it was coming right at us. I mean, there was the whole shore was there, but nope, it decided to. I jumped out of there, get on the truck real quick, and locked all the doors. That sucker went right under the truck and kept on going. I was like, "What the hell?" I've never had an animal just come straight at me, even though it seen me.
Yeah, I've had moccasins. They try to get in the boat before when we were fishing, and if you can grab the paddle or grab your fishing rod and sit there whack them. So yeah, those are moccasins are like a different breed. Yeah, that is one that might come at you, but rattlesnakes. I've been around that rattlesnakes before. They tend to go their other way. If they see you.
Yeah. Look, out here in Arizona, we have them everywhere,
Yeah.
but you hardly ever see them.
Yeah.
The only time you'll come up on them on one of them is if you startle it. It didn't hear you coming. For the most part, they'll get out of the way, and they'll let you know that you've gotten too close right away. And they hear that rattle when you're hiking, and you hear it so close, will make the hair in the back of your neck stand. It's like, oh, you start getting hyper aware of where you're putting your feet down.
Yeah, you're like, where is it? I don't want to. Yeah, I've almost stepped on moccasins before. Not rattlesnakes. I've walked up on rattlesnakes before, and then I go the other way, they go their way. But moccasins, I've almost stepped on them before, and I've seen their mouth open. I see the white of their mouth, and yeah, I run like a little girl screaming the other way. Yeah. So
in all those years of scuba diving, did you ever have a close call where you're like, oof, if it had gone this other way, I wouldn't be here today?
I ran out of air one time, and then I had to buddy breathe. We were probably about 80 feet underwater, and I didn't realize I pulled that tank dry. I was spearfishing and probably doing more than what my buddy was, so using up more air, breathing harder, and then next thing I know, I was like, because it'll drag, it'll get real tight, and you're not out of air like all the way when you feel that, but you're like really close. So yeah, I did that one time, but luckily my dive buddy was like close by, and we didn't have to buddy breathe going back and forth, because we used to keep and it's good common practice is have an extra regulator on top of your, and that's for emergency use for your buddy. So it's easier, instead of having to share back and forth. I just have another regulator, and then we just swam to the surface. And then he was laughing at me. He's like, "I still got plenty." I was like, "Yeah, but you weren't spearfishing. I was." And then I was like chasing friggin' snapper and stuff. So
is it easy to lose sense of time when you're down there and scuba diving?
Yeah,
is that something you constantly have to be checking?
You gotta watch, yeah. So with the advent of the dive computer, it'll let you know. But yeah, you still need to look at it, and you still just need to make a habit of also just checking your air gauge, on occasion. Because I was spearfishing, so I wasn't watching my air gauge. But yeah, you should be, checking your computer or your time if you're still old school using the old calculations. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. B Wiz was asking, have you ever done any cave diving, or
Just
are you interested in doing any of that?
not in like real deep because there's not much to see in. But there's a couple of springs in Florida that I went, and I didn't go deep into the cave. I just went in just a little bit and said, "Oh, I take that off the bucket list." I dove in a cave. But like as far as there's some caves that like go really deep and people get like really into it. But there's a few people that die every year in the caves in Florida. Yeah, there's at least one fatality every year in Florida from a cave diver. They lose their direction, they kick up silt or whatever, and can't find their way back out. So yeah, I never really, because like I
Found
said,
the
you're
appeal.
yeah, there's not much in there. So yeah. Now spearfishing, that was the main thing that like that was the activity that I really liked, you know, for scuba diving. And I'd take some pictures too, but I never really my photography skills were terrible. So um but I could spearfish with the best of them. And when spearfishing, it was like going to the 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 supermarket and just picking out what you wanted. You'd be like, oh, there's a nice snapper right there. So some people thinks it's like if there's anybody in there that are like big members of PETA or something like that, you might hate me. But anyways, that was the hunting that I did was spearfish.
Ever lose a prey to a predator? Not
No,
necessarily
I
a shark.
didn't. I didn't, but I seen it happen. They had to drop. They were swimming back to the boat. I was already back on the boat. And one of the guys that was in our party, he was swimming back and had a few fish on his stringer, and then he seen the shark fin coming up behind him, and we were like yelling at him, and he dropped the stringer, and then the shark went. That's what the shark was after. So I don't know what kind of shark it was, but the fin broke the top of the surface, and that shit was scary. So, and we were like screaming at him, drop your fish, and he did. And then the shark went away, and he got back to. He never saw it. We were just screaming at him. He was like, "What? What?" I was like, "Drop your effing fish," you know. So, but I never had that happen. But it's like I said, it's definitely a possibility.
I mean, I know everybody assumes, or not assumes, but recognizes that sharks as predators. But is there other stuff down there that people just don't think about that could potentially be a predator? Like, the thing that comes to mind is like groupers, because groupers get so big. Could they actually? Would they
They,
be curious enough to
I,
swallow you?
yeah, I've swam next to like a jewfish, a grouper, because there's a few different species, but the one, it wasn't a giant massive one, but for the one that I saw, that fish was easily over 100 pounds, and his mouth was probably a good 20 to 24 inches wide.
Big
So
enough to get it around you, huh?
yeah, and when I saw him, that one scared me a little bit because I was like, that's a big fish. So um, barracudas, I think there's a possibility there. I've had barracuda swimming around me before, like watching. We were spearfishing down in the Bahamas, and in the Bahamas you can't spearfish. It's a law. You can only do it free diving, so snorkeling. There's no legally you can't spearfish on scuba. So me and my buddy, we were taking turns. We had one person on the surf. We only had one. We were fishing with a pole spear, not a spear gun. So and we were taking turns with the pole spear. One would dive down. We were probably in 35 foot of water. One would dive down, look for something, get it. We were getting lobster and then some other like hogfish. And then the other person had the stringer and was just staying at the surface and watching. But I was at the surface And for whatever reason, I just like I was watching my buddy below me, but I had like a weird feeling, and I kind of turned around in the water, and like about 10 feet away was this big old barracuda, and he was watching me. He was watching me, and then yeah, when my buddy came back up, I said, and the boat wasn't that far off. So I stayed watching him. He came back up, and then I pointed. I was like, hey, look at that joker over there. I was like, let's go put the fish back on the boat and we'll come back out. But he made me nervous. So we took the stringer and threw it back up on the boat, took the fish off, and then we came back out. But I didn't want to stay there because that's what he was eyeing. I know it.
Yeah, the fish on the stringer.
Yeah. So he was
Problem
like,
with them is that if he nicks you, I mean, they'll tear you up pretty bad too.
oh,
though.
you could see his teeth because his mouth was open just a little bit. And yeah, so I was kind of nervous. And like I said, he was only like 10 feet away. You could see, and the water's crystal clear where we were at. And I was like, yeah, that I don't like him watching me.
Yeah, I don't think people really realize how agile and how quickly fish can close the distance
Oh, and
in open
barracuda,
water. I mean,
barracuda are like they're like lightning bolts in the water. I've seen barracuda just fishing rod and reel, fishing for snapper out in the Gulf, and you're reeling up a fish, and all of a sudden, boom, and then all you do is get like part of the fish up because barracuda come in and then just like take it and they're gone. But and you see them in the water sometimes too. It's like a little lightning bolt, like zoom. Yeah. But yeah, like if you the fishing out like down in the Gulf of Mexico, you fishing around the oil rigs, the barracudas and stuff, they'll hang around there. But
no, okay.
yeah.
Is there a reason why? Because they drop scraps from the rig, or
Oh,
it's
not
just
not really. Like the Gulf of Mexico, from what I know, is mostly sand. There's not a lot of natural reef out there. So where we used to dive and fish was mostly on like artificial reefs, and a lot of the charter boats that take people out for a living. I don't know if you could do it anymore, but there used to be a company in Orange Beach that would take junk cars out. You would pay him like 150 bucks. He had this barge they'd push out, had these old beat up junk cars on them, and they would drop them and then they would give you the Loran numbers. This is prior to GPS. So you would get the Loran coordinates that would get you like the general location. And then that was like a private, I mean, it was open to the public because that's public water, but you knew the exact location of that reef. And then so the charter boats knew where to take their customers so there would be fish. So that being said, with the oil rigs, when they built the oil rigs out there, just the legs and stuff of the oil rigs starts the food chain. It's a artificial reef. So they're good spots to fish around. Because you know where they're at. You could see them above the water, and then there's going to be fish below.
okay.
Yep.
You ever go swim around a shipwreckage?
A lot of shipwrecks.
Are they eerie, or you're more thrilled about the possibilities of what you could find, or
most of the ones that I dove were sunk on purpose.
okay.
Yeah. But there is one in Gulf Shores, Alabama. They call it the Whiskey Wreck, and it's a beach dive. So it's only like it's on the other side of the sandbar. Maybe from the beach, it's like maybe a 300-yard swim, maybe 200-yard swim. And they call it the Whiskey Wreck because back in the Prohibition days, they used to run a lot of whiskey, and that the rumor has it that was like a rum runner. And it wasn't a big boat, but it was there, and that was pretty cool. But you couldn't even tell it was been there for so long. It kind of deteriorated, but it was a good place to go gig some flounder. So because it wasn't that deep. It was like at high tide, it was maybe 20 feet deep.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but it was known too. Like if boats come in that area, because at low tide, a boat could hit it sometimes.
Oh,
so yeah.
So they had to be careful to make sure they didn't go near it, so
yeah.
they won't cause any damage.
Yep.
Now, have you done any freshwater diving? Is it very different than doing saltwater, or?
I have a little bit, like in the springs in Florida. So that was all freshwater, but I don't, and then a lot of people up here where I live, they go to Lake George and somebody Lake Luzerne. Lake George is a popular dive lake up here, but I never had the interest to go. I don't. You know what I want to do, and is and the reason that the whole reason I bought the GoPro is to take my GoPro in some of the streams, like the shallow water streams, just with my mask and snorkel, and then just like sit there and lay in the shallow water to try to get some video footage and some pictures of some of the micro native fish. So
nice.
That I've been saying I was going to do it for the last 2 years, but then I get busy right now it's too cold. Like, yeah, you could do it, but it's no fun. So, but like I said, I bought the GoPro like going on 2 years ago now, and I haven't done it. But that's one of the main reasons I bought it, is just to get my mask and snorkel and the GoPro, just because I've gained, like, within the last 2 years, I guess, like the micro native fish. I really starting to find them, fascinating. It's like, the different darters and the sculpins and stuff like that. There's some really cool stuff. And when I lived down south, I never had an interest in that. I was bass fishing, and then fishing, for like intercoastal saltwater, speckled trout, redfish, and stuff like that. But I didn't even know this. Like, Alabama has it has the most freshwater species within the state border than any other state in the United States. Like the Alabama Delta is like, it's like the Amazon, basin of North America. So there's so many, different, but there's stuff you would never see because they're little. So,
well, I knew you were down there for the Christmas break. Weren't you seeing your
yeah,
sister or something like that?
yeah,
I saw you take some footage of some of the areas and stuff
yep,
like that. And yeah, that would be really, really cool to be able to go in there and see what lives in there. I mean, it's.
yep.
I agree with you. I think some of those darters and some of those minnows that are out there, they rival just as
Oh,
much as these tropical fish that we get from the Amazon region. The
yeah,
only problem is, I guess, you need to keep them a little bit cooler. So, but
yep. But the cool thing about that is, you know, you don't have to pay for that heater. Yeah, that's one reason I like. Well, it's not the only reason, but I keep, Gudeids, um, and they're cool water fish. I don't have to heat anything, so their tanks are just kept at ambient, which my fish room usually gets up, even in the summertime, usually usually well below 80, usually no higher than like 75. But in the wintertime, my tanks will get down into the low 60s. I've seen them get down to like, 61, and they're perfectly fine. So, and then the wild type swordtails too, and then I got some wild platies. They're all fine cold water. Even like domestic swords and platies, you don't need to heat their tanks. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of heat the space, but it's not like right now. The ambient temperature in here is 72, and the aquariums has got to be in the high 60s. Like 68,
Okay. Yeah.
60. And I have the guppies in there. I have bristlenose in there. They're not running. I'm not running any heaters in them,
Yeah.
and they're maintaining. They're not dying.
Yeah.
But
I've had bushy nose breed in 60-degree temp. I mean, people say, "Oh, they got to be warmer." I was like, "Well, tell them that." I was like, they're in a tank in the mid 60s and they're breeding. So if you're breeding, that usually will tell you that the fish is comfortable and happy. You know,
yeah.
so they were fine.
Hey, let me take a quick break. I'm about to burst. I had too much coffee and water. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. I got my laptop up, people, so I could see chat here. I wasn't watching chat, but since our host has left, maybe I'll read some chat. The native Idaho cheetah is protected. I would hope so. The Gulf looks like a caldera. Yeah, it does. A sand caldera. Let me scroll up here. How many people are hanging out here anyways? Only 18? Man, go invite some more people.
Man, I'm glad it's just on the other side of the door because I was sitting here dancing back and forth because I was like, oh, gotta go. Well, the problem is I got up so early today because my wife had to be at work at 5, and she usually gets around 3:30, and I got up at 4 uh, just to hang out with her for a little bit before she went to work. Plus, today I start my night shift, so I said I'll get up early and hopefully during the day I'll take a nap and then get some sleep before I go to work tonight.
Okay.
And then I got to run around and do some other stuff. It's actually our anniversary today, so I got to surprise her by the time she gets back from work.
Oh yeah, don't forget that. Yeah.
So I think that idea of being able to get into some of the streams and stuff like that and be able to snorkel and take footage of what's in there, I find that fascinating. That's why I really, when I got the opportunity to talk to Ivan, who was doing that in Venezuela, I thought that was so neat. And I guess there's a couple of guys that are doing it now.
Yeah.
Here also.
Well, Ivan did a talk for us. That's where I got kind of like the inspiration was from Ivan. He actually has a house in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
So so he comes to this region, not all the time, but I think he comes to the United States at least once a year, and then he'll stay longer because he has property in Massachusetts. But he spoke for one of the clubs, New England Cichlid Association that I'm part of. He spoke. It was probably like 2 years ago, and then his talk and just talking to him, I was like I would love to do that shit. So then GoPro's like $400. People were saying there's better cameras, but for what you get with the GoPro, it's a pretty cool little camera. And they're from the get-go out of the box, they're waterproof up to I forget, I'd have to look at the instructions, but they're waterproof out of the box without any additional housing, I think up to like 25 or 30 feet. So I was like, that's perfect. So you don't have to really spend anything extra on gear for, wading in the stream that's like, 1 foot, 2 foot deep, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just think it's, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to be something that could cost a lot of money to do, and it would be real fun. To go through that.
Yeah. So it's a different form of fishing, really. I like to fish. So whether it's spear fishing or with a rod and reel, or just, with a dip net or a camera, that's still fishing.
I forgot who was talking about it. I think it might have been Ivan or somebody else mentioning it, that I guess there's certain states where you can go micro fishing. Oh, I think it was Ryan from Wild Tanks. But you have to get in the water with a little rod and a micro hook, and you fish that way inside the water.
What I think Sam Scowls?
Yeah.
I think, well, wherever Sam goes, I've known Sam for a few years now. I've met him, different parts of the countries that show, but he always brings his fishing rods. Like at the Keystone Clash, he'll be at the Keystone Clash, and he has a buddy that lives like up around Scranton, so he'll stay longer, and they go and fish, and I've seen him catch some like little teeny fish before too, and he showed me like some of like the test, the monofilament is like less than a 2-pound test. It's like a human hair. So
yeah, and it's funny because the regulations state you can't do it off the bank, so you have to be in the water.
Okay.
But they're dipping these little. It's almost like if it was a toy. It looks like it's a micro fishing
It's like something it's something GI Joe would use.
Yeah, exactly. But they actually use it to they call it microfishing, and I thought that was so interesting. I was like, okay, because that's the only way you can, I guess, legally retrieve the fish from those waterways, which is crazy, but it is what it is, I guess.
I know like Tennessee is like real restrictive, so I'm not. That it might have to do with like Tennessee. Like there's certain things they're real restrictive. Alabama's not so much, but I'm not sure about other states. But
there's another question. There's a question here for you. They're asking you that they don't know if you covered this or not, but he says your plant setups for sale. Do you have them in separate tanks, and do you run CO2?
We don't run CO2 here. I have some regulators. I just I don't have it set up. So yeah, they're just all, most of the plants I have in stock inside are like low to medium light, low tech. So I'll get some more higher tech stuff in, meaning like plants that like, you kind of need higher light with, and when you increase the light, then then that's when you start to get into CO2 just to keep the tank balanced. Or if you got too much light and you got an imbalance with the CO2, then you're gonna have just a big algae mess. But I'll bring in some of those plants, but I actually bring them in and I do stuff outdoors. So I set tubs up outdoors. So I'll bring in some different, stem plants that benefit better from higher light. But then I got Mr. Sunshine above. So, but there's still, I don't inject any CO2 in there. So.
But are you keeping the plants just their plant tanks? That's all you have in there, or do you keep them in regular aquariums? Or
there's some like that, and then there's a couple that I have fish in there too. So I have some with no fish, some with fish in there. So yeah,
it's just based on where the space is available at the
time. It's like I posted. I got like actually it's like locally grown from a friend of mine. He gave me like a pound, like literally a pound of subwassertang. And I had to put that like in 4 different tanks because I was like, where the hell am I gonna put all? That's a lot of Sawasser tanks.
Do you keep any outdoor totes or tubs where you growing out plants, or everything is indoors?
I have stuff when it warms up, I will. Yeah.
Okay.
But right now it's too cold. But so I empty all. I don't have any outdoor ponds, so everything's tubs. So I empty those out in the fall, because if you leave water in them, sometimes when they'll freeze and they'll crack the tub.
Yeah.
So we empty those out. But this winter, it hasn't been like really cold this winter. But there's certain plants because they're endemic up here, that they would survive the winter as long as they don't freeze solid. But plants like hornwort, Sagittaria, different Sagittaria, Vallisneria, like your Vallisneria americana, that grows up here, and like Sagittaria subdolata, so like the dwarf sag, that grows up here in the lakes, and hornwort grows all around here. So
yeah, I 1 year, almost like the first summer when we moved into this house, I put a toad outside. It was kind of more like ambient light. It wasn't getting any direct light, but it still didn't have a roof over it. It's just a shadow that it was casting because of the way the sun was going over the house. But I put a tote with some jungle val out there because I've always had jungle val, and I just I was thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to propagate this and I'm going to sell out of it. And at first it was just overwhelmed with hair algae, but then as the summer progressed, I noticed something that I had never seen before, and it got real short because I guess I had a lot of light, that it didn't really need to stretch up very high, and then it got maroon. It had this real nice like brick color to it, but it was maybe no more than 3.5, 4 inches tall, and the whole bottom of it got carpeted with that stuff. And that's like my favorite version of jungle val, but I haven't been able to replicate that indoors.
Yeah, we stock. There's actually like, so you probably had the species red, because we stock. Well, I have 2 different species of jungle val on the website, just the regular one and the species red. And the species red is the one that I usually will bring in, because I like it better. To me, it has a little bit wider leaf. It can in your fish tank, it can potentially get up to 10, 12 feet long in your fish tank.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've had customers, buy it before. It was like, well, this plant ain't red, it's green. I was like, well, that's usually the dependent on the lighting. So you'll get a reddish hue like what you had if it gets more intense light. So
Yeah, because that one lost. They had no green tones. It was like a rust color,
yeah,
almost all of it. And I was surprised, and it carpeted the entire bottom. It was like a 40-gallon tote,
okay,
and the entire bottom of it was just nothing but that. It looked really nice, and I brought it in for the winter, and it went back to being the green long stuff. and But I do notice that when the water, depending on how high, the higher it gets and it starts floating to the top of the surface where it's real close to the light,
yep,
it'll start turning red.
okay,
But I don't know if all valves do that, or might have the species you're talking about.
yeah, yeah, like Vallisneria spiralis, which the common name is Italian val. I don't know why it's called Italian val. Maybe that's
Where it
some.
originates.
Yeah, well, it's actually endemic to Africa, like in actually Lake Tanganyika, but maybe it was an Italian man that like discovered it. I don't know. And it's also called spiralis, and it's like straight as can be. There's no spiral to it, but that's
Yeah.
the scientific name. But that one stays green. That one will stay green. I never seen it get like a different shade. Not saying it can't, but I've never seen it. So, but yeah, the jungle val, the species red will get reddish, like a red hue to it, especially on the tips if it has like good light. Yeah,
But it got all of it, the entire plant, and the leaves were probably no longer than this, but
okay.
it looked amazing when I grew it outdoors. I need to get back to doing it because I really liked it. The only problem is once the intensity of the light is not as high in here,
Yep.
it turns back to a greenish color.
Yeah, I love, like, honestly, tubs. I like the tub season more than fish tanks. I love outdoor tubs. I really do. It's like almost zero maintenance. Like, for real, I don't run any filters. I just run air stones, just to oxygenate the water if it gets too warm. So add more oxygen. But when I first started doing tubs, I did put sponge filters in it because it's hard to get past. Oh, you don't really need to filter it. But then I tried some with sponge filters and some without, and I didn't see no difference in the health of the fish. So then I just run all air stones now to my tubs. But yeah, you can grow so much more outdoors for and then like some of the stem plants, like your Lowigia, different species of Lowigia. One of my favorites is Lowigia ovalis. That's one of my favorites, and when you get that under highlight, which Mr. Sunshine is highlight, that's like a beautiful stem plant. It gets like really nice and red.
Yeah, I think I have some of it, but the light in there is not as bright. What happens is in the aquarium that it's in, I never turn off the light.
Okay.
So it gets light all the time, and it does have these reddish on the outer perimeters, and it looks really nice. I like it.
And then like a really common one, Lowigia repens. That's real common in the hobby. That'll do well. Lowigia repens will do well in like a medium light, not low light, but at least medium. But it's gonna stay green. But you bump up that light intensity, and that thing's gonna turn. It's gonna look like really nice if you like colors other than green. Not that green's bad. Green's probably one of my green and blue. That's two of my favorite colors, but I never seen no blue freshwater plants yet.
The one that I have not been able to grow is Alterna reneke or something like that. It's called it's the red plant.
Yep.
It just dies in my aquarium.
I've sold it before, but I've just brought it in and then just flipped it and sold it right back out. But yeah, long term, I don't have luck with it long term. It needs higher light and it really does benefit from CO2 injection from my experience. But like I said, I maintain everything inside is all low tech. So yeah. But,
well, sir, um, I appreciate you coming on. I got to run a little bit because, like I said, it's our anniversary today. I want to make sure I got to make sure I have some stuff ready for when she comes home. She'll be home in a couple hours. So,
yeah.
But thanks for coming up. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be
yeah.
here.
No, I like what you're doing. With the channel. To me it's entertaining. Whether, I don't know if I'm entertaining. I'm just a old goofy guy, but some of the other guests that you've had on, no, I enjoy it. Like, I know you had Mike on, and the gentleman you had on the other day, I wasn't sure who he was, but I got to know him with you talking to him. So it's
Tobias.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just what. Here's the thing, though. I know most of us by we all keep the fish and stuff like that. But I know I know myself. There's other stuff that I like to do besides besides the fish and the plants. And that's that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to get to know people outside of the hobby, the other stuff that they like to do, and all the other things that encompass that person. So that's kind of what I'm trying to make. This is where we get to know the person on a different, outside of just doing the fish. So
yeah.
And so far, I've really enjoyed it. Plus, I like talking to people. I'm never short of words.
Oh no, I'll shoot the breeze with you. You want to talk fish? You want to talk fishing? You want to go play golf? We could do that too.
Well, definitely we could do golf, but we'd have to be at the same place at the same time.
I hear you. If you want to laugh, then just go play golf with me. If you really want to laugh.
I'm not a golfer. I go for the most laughs that I've ever had. Those valley road. It's always been on the golf course.
Oh,
and it's usually me hitting the ball in the direction it wasn't supposed to go. So
I've seen some funny stuff, and I've done some funny stuff. So yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, Keith, thank you so much, and I want to thank everybody that joined us, especially those that came in during the stream. I'm sorry, there's so many of you that I'd go back and probably spend another half an hour saying hello to everybody else. But I just want to say thank you to all of you that joined, and hopefully we'll see you here soon. The next one that I'm doing is going to be in Spanish, and I think it's either Saturday or Friday night. I got to go look on it. But he's an interesting character. He's a guy that's doing YouTube, but he wears a luchador mask, which is one of the things that really drew me to him. And so I'll be talking to him. It's Rey Poseidon, and that one should be fun. But with that being said, thank you. Anything else you wanna share? Any events you're coming up to, or any sales you got going on?
Well, the next event I got will be in Burlington, Vermont. I forget what they're calling it, but that's the Tropical Fish Club of Burlington. That's in March. If you guys ever want to find out where I'm going, you could. I've been using the community tab more on YouTube lately. Maybe I'm annoying people, but I don't care. And then also, if you follow us on Facebook, our business page on Facebook, I always post wherever I'm going, and then sometimes other events I might not be going to, but maybe I support them, because we do a lot with the fish clubs, and not just in our local region. I do stuff for clubs out in Chicago, down in Florida, and stuff like that too. So yeah, so you might not be in my local area, but I might post something, of a club event that's going to be, somewhere else. So yeah, follow us there. As far as like the current discount code, I'm going to make one for you too, Mexicali, and then I'll email it to you. But
Okay.
if you guys follow Foxy, if you follow Depths Unknown, if you follow the Crypt Keeper, they all have specific coupon codes that you can use on kjeaquatics.com. And then I know Matt just posted one where we just did a big switch over with the website. So I hope you guys like the new website. And most of that work was done by Matt. But if the coupon code is new site 10.
Okay.
And then that gave you 10% off of all goods in stock on the website. So, but yeah, just basically what's new with me. And before we go is like, even if you don't buy nothing, go check out the website, because that it's cool. So, and it's so much easier on the admin side on the backside compared to what I had before. what I had before was good, but this is better. So
Okay.
yeah. But with that,
I'll go take a look.
yeah, I'll shut up now.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you on the
Thanks,
next one. You guys take care.
All right, later. Thanks.